What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on another episode of Tony Talk TV. So if you got a 9 to 5 or you out there in the streets busy, man, I'm gonna break it down for y'all, man. If you from Miami, you're probably familiar with this case. If you not, then you're gonna be with it today. Anyways, this is a trial update on Bryan Pata, a Miami native who was murdered outside of his home, and his former teammate at the University of Miami was charged with the murder. Now, Bryan Pata played defensive line. He was projected to go 4th for 5th round. He was discovered by his roommate, who went on to play in the NFL. He will be shown in this video later on, but we're going to break down what the key evidence against Rashad Jones, which is the teammate who was charged, and what the state's motive is, and what type of case they're trying to paint. We're not trying to say the man's guilty at all, because actually this case is very circumstantial and very weak if you want to ask me. Because I've been on trial, not trial, but I was charged with a crime. Obviously, I pled out, so I didn't actually make it a trial. But you learn a lot about elements on cases and how things go in the system when you're locked up for that long and you do the amount of years I did. So this would be the type of case you say, hey, this case can go either way, really, because, man, if a jury needs reasonable doubt is gave, if you look at the case in itself. So let's dive into some of the facts. Now, I want you guys to know one thing before we get into the witnesses that testified and the facts of the case. This case happened in 2006, November 7th. This defendant was not charged, although he was a suspect or a person of interest at some point throughout the reports on what is public records. He wasn't charged till over 15 years later, where the state and the cops would open up what you would say a cold case, and they would try to tie up some loose ends. And that's what we're going to get into now, and how they're trying to charge him and stick him with the elements of murder. It's important to note the fact that in murder, you have circumstantial evidence, you even have physical evidence. In this case, there's a lack of physical evidence. This case is purely circumstantial, where there is no fingerprints, no weapon, no DNA, okay? And technically, if you want to be real, there is an eyewitness, but the eyewitness is too old to testify now. And the gap between the date of the offense, where the crime was committed, to the charging date where the defendant was charged, there's a big gap between, which can play against the state. Because of the simple fact that as a state prosecutor, you want to tie up a case, or detectives, they're going to try to tie up a case, especially a murder case, as quick as they can. Because like this case will prove to you that witnesses can have a lack of memory or even die or pass away. One of these witnesses was actually proclaimed dead by the state at one point, and then was found alive by ESPN reporters from what they say, ESPN investigative journalists, and they wanted to get to the bottom of who this witness was, and somehow, hey, look, oh, he's alive, but wait, he's too old to testify now. He's really too old. He got dementia or something in the realm of that. And the judge, which in my opinion is more sided on the state side, and she kind of showed that maybe with some of the sides she took on some of the objections or whatever, but however you want to see it. But yeah, this witness is too old now, and the judge ruled that his video recording where he pointed out Rashad Jones in the lineup is admissible into the court system. Now, where the lineups can be faulty is because people will say, hey, these cops sometimes will be pointing right at the picture and say, yeah, him in the lineup. It's happened a lot of times. Just like if they only give you a lineup with one person on it. Yo, I'm telling y'all, the game could go either way, so please don't take this case I'm saying he's guilty or not guilty. Don't say, oh, you don't want to see justice happen. Look, man, for all it's worth, I pray that man's family finds peace, and if it's justice for real, it's justice. It is what it is. But all I'm saying is I don't want to see no innocent man go to prison for the rest of his life. But anyways, we're not jurors, so let's dive into it, y'all. The key evidence the state is holding on to is the cell phone towers data that was recovered years and years later, which says Rashad Jones was in the area. It connected to a tower that was close to the area, which was right by Pata's home. Then you have all this other circumstantial evidence where people are speaking about a beef that happened between Rashad Jones and Bryan Pata, where they even got physical at one point. And also they're speaking on over a girl named Jada. There was a beef going on between them. So that's the motive the state's trying to paint. The only part with that cell phone tower thing, even though it's circumstantial, that maybe could work against Jones is the fact that Jones said he was home all evening, and now the detective's going to pull that. And it's like, oh, wait, to the jury, it could be like, hey, why'd you lie here? So it could be that way. But remember, Like I said, there's a lot of people that have washed up memories here. There's a lot of witnesses that got on the stand and they had lack of cooperation, or really they just said, hey, yo, you subpoenaed me here. You're forcing me. That's so, of course, we have Dave Howell and a couple of other University of Miami teammates, which were put on the stand to show the prior incidents and the prior fistfights Bryan Pata and Rashad Jones had. That's the state's key way of their opening statements and showing with their first witnesses on the stand is the motive. Why would this have happened? What events could have led up to this beef to lead up to this? The defense, on the other hand, is saying, hey, look, yeah, Pata was involved with Zopound. Pata had guns. Pata, they're trying to paint Pata as a bad guy too. You know what I mean? And oh, did he have an AK? Did he have this? That's what they're throwing around in the courtroom, and that's the truth. The defense is trying to paint Pata as a bad guy and trying to say that basically, hey, it could have been anybody wanted him dead because Zopound was known to have a lot of beef. This is literally what I'm breaking it down for y'all. Zopound was known to have a lot of beef in the streets, so there could have been anybody to want him dead, basically. Why y'all got to just say it's the teammate over a girl? Oh, this cell phone tower is not enough because there was other teammates that lived in the area, and that's it. But then you got the old guy by the name of Paul Connor, which was a former University of Miami professor, which at the time, like I said, he was probably in his 60s now. He's probably like 81 or something, 80 something now. He can't testify now, but he did say he heard a shot, saw someone running away, and he pointed Rashawn Jones out in the lineup. I don't know exactly how soon after it was, but yeah, that was his original statement. And like I said, we have to find out in the realms. It hasn't been discovered yet, but if a defense attorney is going to attack it, let's see in these next few days, guys. I'm just updating you on a constant basis, so stick around. But we're going to see if they're going to pinpoint, say, how many people were in the lineup. What other defendants did you guys show? Put the detective on the stand and let's see what other people did you guys show on this lineup? If I'm a lawyer, that's what I'm asking. Hey, what people did you show in this lineup? So Bruce Johnson was subpoenaed by the state. He clearly said he didn't want to be there. He had an attitude on the stand, and he known Jones since they were kids. He didn't want to be there. They even asked him, "Do you want to be here?" He said no, clearly. And his lack of cooperation, from what they're saying and the reporting, was obvious. So I didn't see his whole testimony. I did see a little bit of it, but yeah, he basically is saying, yo, it was a long time ago. Memory is washed. That's one thing that you're going to find a lot in this case. A lot of people's memory is washed. So he wasn't really a good witness for the state. He was just somebody to just show, hey, yeah, it was Jones and this. I don't even know why the state put him on there because in his prior statements, they say he was a little bit more incriminating. So then now he doubled back and it wasn't the same energy. It's been a lot of time. Big gap, like I told you, I proved to be against the state. Michael Sanders works in sports in California, made the trip. And the only thing in his testimony was, hey, Jones, I spoke to him on the phone. He called, asked me for money. Now, Michael Sanders didn't give him any money, but that is being introduced by the state to show, hey, maybe he wanted that money to leave, to fly away, whatever. But he stayed playing for the Miami Hurricanes. So you see how that could be argued? How did he want to call somebody for money to leave if he stayed playing for the Miami Hurricanes? And Pata was found with all that money on him and is known to carry money around, but yeah, he wasn't robbed or anything like that. So I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me trying to tie those knots up, but they're going to try to get as much as they can. Jada was Pata's girl, who basically was the main key role in why this beef started. But then some people say it was greed or hate. Pata was very loved in the city, and he was from there, so of course he had a lot of love from the city. Drove in a nice SUV, had nice cars. He was locked in on the streets, man. As far as being a stand-up individual, and a lot of people had love for him. We'll leave it at that, right? And because I didn't know him personally, just from what everybody says, he was a solid dude, man. And just being a Miami Hurricanes player, talking about it, you know what type of person he was. But at the same time, you have some people that didn't know him like that, some people that did. Regardless of that, it's not that's going to play a key role. There's one witness that really did play a key role, in my opinion, for the state. That key witness is going to be Dwayne Hendricks, which was his former roommate who I told y'all called 911, found his body, had to calm the scene down a little bit. And you'll see in this picture right here where he's actually going through the video of that night when Pata was found. He didn't see the wound behind Pata's ear. That's where the wound was, y'all. One gunshot to the head. Rest in peace. But the reason why I'm saying his testimony is very important for the state is because in his testimony, he says there was a mandatory team meeting, right? And he says in that team meeting, he specifically says there's one person I don't remember seeing. So yeah, this is fightable because there's a big gap between time. He could have been anywhere because one witness also said he got in trouble with the team before for smoking weed a couple times. And they also said that he did end up playing for Miami after this day, and he kept playing for them. So yeah, that's arguable. But the reason why I know the state's using this is because they're trying to show the jury, like, hey, look, also our main witness that found the body is saying he remembers a mandatory team meeting where this guy wasn't there. Then you got this old guy where this evidence is being introduced where he's saying, hey, you know, I saw this person running away. I pointed him out on the lineup, but we don't know how many people were shown in the lineup. If it was just a single man lineup, it shouldn't be a valid lineup, right? But we don't know that. And then you have the phone towers, which is, oh yeah, he was in the area of this crime. And then it's contradicting what he said, where, oh no, I was home all evening. That's what the picture they're trying to paint there. And then the motive was behind the girl, the greed, the jealousy, right? But on the other hand, y'all, no fingerprints, no DNAs, 15 plus years of a gap. You know what I mean? And really, yeah, like they're saying, yo, why him? Like there was other people, person of interest, Jada's brother at one point. There was another guy that like flew to Haiti or something and got away. I don't know his name exactly, but he was also a suspect at one point, was on the run. And they said that he had died in Haiti. And then they come to find him in like Miami or, in Atlanta or something, y'all. I'm not even lying. So, and he had Haitian roots. So yeah, y'all, these are people, person of interest throughout the years, you know? And there was a lot of inconsistencies from the cops saying, this witness is dead. It happened twice, actually. Oh, this witness is dead. And then no. So yeah, y'all, we don't know what's going to happen. I'll keep y'all with the updates, man. Rest in peace to Bryan Pata, y'all. What y'all think about this case and how y'all think it's going to go. Tony Talk TV, let's get it.